Hey guys, welcome back. I have today another PMR 446 radio review, and to be precise, I have the Retevis RT45 two-way radio, and those are basically, at least in the case of Europe, in Germany, they are license free. You don't have to be a ham radio operator to use those. As you can see, only limitation, they have a little bit of a low output power, but as you may or may not know, some of the Retevis radios you can connect a USB programming cable to and then increase the power to, I believe, 2 watts, which is kind of like a little bit of a crazy hack. And obviously you want to be mindful of your local laws and regulations. Unfortunately, in the case of Germany, it would be somewhat illegal to just reprogram the radios to other frequencies that are outside of the PMR band and then increase the transmission power. And also keep in mind, your radio has to have one of these ports where you can plug in the USB adapter. But maybe guys, this is another video. So let's jump back to the initial review of the Retevis RT45. Because what I basically want to do, maybe you can see this in the navigation below. I'm going to do an unboxing, show you a few close-up shots. Then we're also going to pay attention to whether you can connect the USB programming cable there, just in case, because I'm curious. And after I did the unboxing, showed you a few close-up shots, showed you the build quality, showed you what size the batteries are. I'm gonna charge those radios up, and then I'm gonna go outside, and in part 2 we're gonna do a range test, and I'm gonna go to some predetermined points and do at some set distance points, gonna measure I'm just gonna go outside. One radio is here, one I take with me along, and then you're gonna see what the reception is gonna be. And then in part 3 we're rounding it up with the summary. So let's get rolling with the unboxing, guys. And yeah guys, before I continue, did I mention this before? I also have lots of other radios and ham radios on my channel, and also audio and video equipment, so you're invited to check out these other product reviews as well, so you get a direct comparison how each individual product differs from each other. But without further ado, let's continue with the Retevis radios. So the Retevis RT45 that I have here surprisingly also has the same color than the Motorola's, which I find kind of interesting. One thing, like if I compare it to the Motorola, what I immediately noticed is the whole packaging is a little bit more uncluttered. And when it comes to the manual, there's one properly printed manual. With the Motorola's, you have something like this, tons of extra sheets and everything in different languages. So maybe the Retevis only stick to English, which in my personal opinion is probably enough, but hey, maybe I digress already. What we can do, maybe we can hold the Motorola next to the Retevis, and you see they look remarkably similar, so I wouldn't essentially be surprised if the design was somewhat copied. But what we're interested in right now is how these radios perform. And one thing I'm particularly curious about is the batteries. Maybe I can zoom in for a little bit here, so that you can see that a little bit better. Those are the batteries that come with the Retevis RT45, and whoops, that seems to go out of focus really easily. You see those have 650 milliamp hours, so we should get an excess of 1800 milliamp hours in total, assuming we have 3 times 600 or around about that, compared to the Motorola's when I assume the whole pack has only 600 milliamp hours. So in theory, the Retevis may have significantly more battery capacity. And maybe one way to explain this is, I believe you call those here AA, but the Motorola that I showed you in a second, I believe uses AAA. So that could explain why those radios may have longer battery life. And guys, I'm really amazed on how similar everything looks. Even that reminds me kind of almost of the Motorola mark. That looks like somewhat of a blatant copy to me, which honestly I don't really care very much about, as long as the quality is okay. So one interesting thing, it seems to have a USB connector here at the side. That was also a thing that is the same with the Motorola and the Retevis. If you're doing a lot of charging and recharging, I'm not exactly sure how durable these flaps are going to be, but then again, many people, they're probably just using it occasionally. So if you're planning on using this every day, maybe on a construction site or something like that, maybe you want to step it up to one of the models that comes with a docking station where you can charge in the docking station via some contacts at the back right here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to remove this belt clip right here. And once you have removed this belt clip attachment, you can get to the battery compartment, and then I'm gonna put in the batteries, and I'm gonna do this for both radios, and then we should be ready to do the range test in a second. Honestly, like one thing you may be able to do, I'm not exactly sure, but maybe replace the stock batteries with something like Panasonic Eneloops. Those are really nice high quality rechargeable batteries that have a 1900 milliamp hours. So you can imagine what kind of crazy performance you're gonna get out of a battery upgrade like this. The only thing that I'm wondering is the Eneloops, I think they came with this special quick charger, so I'm not sure about the charging performance when you charge those Eneloops in one of these radios. It's probably going to take quite some time. In any case, I digress again. Let's continue putting in these batteries, and then we're going to jump to the range test in a second. Obviously, you always want to make sure you pay close attention to the polarity, put the batteries in the correct way, and then put the cover back on, and then I'm gonna charge those up. And the way it looks like, there is one USB cable that splits into two for charging this up, so you will need a USB power supply of some sort, power adapter, excuse me, to charge them up, which we're gonna do right now. So let's charge them up and go to the range test. So guys, I prepped the charging setup. As you can see here, that's the only downside that you have to keep in mind with these radios, that you need some kind of USB power adapter. In my case, I'm in Europe, so don't be surprised that the power plug looks a little bit different. But basically, that's just a power supply from the iPad that I'm currently using. So why don't I connect this real quick? And yeah, one thing I also noticed is, do you see this has like this flashlight button? I think that's kind of interesting. If you do camping or something like this, you can use this as a flashlight. That's kind of neat feature. But instead of depleting the energy by using the flashlight, what I really wanted to do is charge this up. So you see, that's the charging configuration. The USB cable splits into two. Only thing left to do is switch the power button, and as you can see, these things start to charge. And one thing I immediately noticed, they have a charging progress indicator. The Motorola T50s, they didn't seem to have that. So personally, I like to see the charging progress. And with the Motorolas, I think you had to turn them on or something. There was no real indicator light. So personally, I like this as well. So what I'm gonna do right now is let these two guys here charge up completely. And once they're charged up, I'm gonna go outside and do the range test. So that's gonna be immediate for you. So let's jump to part 2 and do the range test of these Retevis PMR radios.
Range test about 420 feet. Range test about 420 feet. Range test point number 1 about 420 feet. Test point number 2 about 790 feet. Test point number 2 about 790 feet. Test point number 2. Test point number 3 about 1,250 feet. Test point number 3 about 1,250 feet. Test point number 3. Test point number 4 about 1,540 feet. Test point number 4 about 1,540 feet of distance. Test point number 4. Over. Test point number 6, distance about 2,000 feet. Test point number 6, about 2,000 feet of distance. Should still be audible. Test point number 6, 2,000 feet. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet. This concludes the test of the Retevis RT45. Test point number 6, about 2,300 feet.
So guys, this concludes the range test of the Retevis RT45 PMR radios. Yeah, I mean, you have seen the sound quality and I've shown you the quality of these radios. And my conclusion really is that these PMR radios, these license-free PMR radios, while everybody can buy and use them, obviously they have the limitation of output power. And as you have seen, the further I go away, the more these radios will start to struggle, simply because they are PMR radios with a low output power. In the case of Germany, we have 0.5 watts output power, so it really works best in and around the house or if you're at the campsite or something like that. But if you need a longer range, I definitely would recommend you to look in different alternatives and pay more attention to the output power. For example, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken, Citizen Band, for example, the CB radios, the good old CB radios, they have a significantly higher output power, and therefore you should get a higher range out of them. However, obviously the CB radios are much lower in the frequency spectrum, so the wavelength is longer, so you should probably get better performance in CB radios with a longer antenna. And maybe you can imagine if you had like a long antenna here, that would be kind of impractical for like a small portable radio. But hey guys, I digress. So far I like these radios. They're really affordable, but just to be sure, you cannot expect like a huge range with those, because in my case the signal had to cut through trees and vegetation, and I could hear it in the test results. When I came home and I looked at the recording, the performance really starts to decrease. And obviously you can only compensate this if you have like a bigger, higher gain antenna and a higher output power, so that you can punch through any obstacle that is there. And also one thing you might keep in mind, while these features like this flashlight feature and stuff like that is quite handy, if you look here, I think there are a lot of small spots where water may be able to come in. So these are by no means waterproof. And if you are outside hiking or something like this, you might want to look at a solution that deals with moisture a little bit better than those. Those are really, personally, I would only use these in an environment that's dry, because there are all these, how do you say, crevices where water could potentially, or moisture could potentially get in, and that will also decrease the lifespan of your radios. So that's something I'm going to look out for. Maybe I can find some PMR radios or other radios that are waterproof that you can use. So I see you as a subscriber on my channel and in one of my other videos. And quickly before I go, from all the radios I tested, I like these black Retevis the most. They seem to have the best sound quality, and I attribute this to the component quality that the manufacturers use. I mean, you can imagine if you have like a really good high quality speaker and a good high quality microphone inside your radio, the clarity of the communication will be better, as opposed to have the manufacturer. I think the manufacturers are always pressured by cutting costs. So maybe they save a little bit if they use a little bit more affordable components, and then they can make the radio more affordable. But yeah, maybe I like those the most. So in any case, I see you as a subscriber in the next video. Take care.
And yeah, since you watched the video of these white Retevis RT45 radios, maybe you're also interested in the black Retevis PMR radios that I like so much. Because on my YouTube channel, obviously you can find a review for those and other radios as well. And yeah guys, I'm truly amazed about how many people have already subscribed to my channel because of the useful product reviews and tutorials that I provide here. And you can subscribe now as well. Take care.